In this part of the exercise, we're going to be working with Eclipse. So if we go and find where we put Eclipse and just launch it, and I'm going to right click and say pin this to the taskbar so it's there for future use. Select the workspace we want to work in and then let it load. We're going to be working with a node application which is JavaScript, so we're just going to open up the JavaScript perspective. We could either work in the node or the JavaScript. And to make a bit more room, I'm going to close the Java Enterprise. And then what we want to do is we want to define a Bluemix environment. So if we just go and open the preferences, and we want to select from the server and the runtime environments. Click the Add button and then open up against IBM and select a Bluemix runtime. We want to make sure we click the Create a Local Server and then click Next. Enter your login information, which is the same information you put in the web UI, and then just make sure that you have the correct location. So I work in the UK region, and click Validate Accounts, and then click Next. Pick the correct region and workspace, the correct organization and workspace, and then click Finish. You can allow Eclipse to save this password for you, and then you just enter these two questions, and then you won't be prompted in the future. To look at the server view, we do Windows, Show View, Other, and then just scroll down to the server, and we open the servers and click OK. And now at the bottom here we will get to see our servers view, and if you can see, I'm in my workshop space. So now that we've got our Bluemix environment created, we want to bring in the sample code that we worked with in the previous two sections. So File, Import, and then under the General tab, I want to bring in an existing project into the workspace. Click Next, and then we're going to bring in the archive file that we downloaded. So I just need to go and find where I put that and make sure I select the archive, the compressed file, and hit Open. I should then see the project appear, and I can just click Finish. So I've now got the project imported into my Eclipse environment. I can see the application down here. Before I can deploy that to Bluemix though, I need to go and modify the project and tell Eclipse that it's suitable for deployment to Bluemix. And I do this by assigning a facet to the project. So if I right click the project name and go to the properties and then select project facets, I can convert the project to a faceted form, which then allows me to apply the Node.js application facet. So I just click there and click OK, and then I've now allowed that to be deployed to Bluemix. To actually deploy to Bluemix, I go back down to the servers view down here, right click the definition of the space that I want to deploy to and click Add Remove. You'll see we've now got the project in the Available column. If I didn't assign a facet, it wouldn't appear here. So I just click it and click Add, and then say Finish. And this is now going to launch the deploy. So we've now got the facet assigned to the project. Before I actually deploy this, I just want to delete this manifest file. So I'm just going to right click and say delete. And OK. We cover the manifest file later in the workshop, so at the minute I just wanted to delete that. Now we want to deploy the project to Bluemix. So I go down to the server and I right click the Bluemix definition and say Add Remove. You'll see that we got our project in the Available column. We click it and then click Add to move it into the Configured column, and then click Finish. The deployment wizard is then launched, and I can now go and input the details. By default, this is the name that's going to be used for my application. I can change that if I want to. And similarly, this is the name, the host name that will be used. Now, we can't all use that name, so again, pick a name that's unique to you, and we will then be deployed in the default domain. If you want to change the memory, you can, and we want to start the application on deployment. It's okay for us to leave this ticked, because on the next screen we can define the services we want deployed alongside the application. So the Eclipse plugin deploys the services and the application, and then does the bind step all in one. I just simply select Cloudant, and then I add that to the services that I want to be deployed. By default, it uses the plan shared because there is only the one plan. I click Finish, and then Finish again. This is now going to deploy my application with the Cloudant service, and it'll bind the two together and then start the application running. Back in the service view, you'll see the application is now started, and if I right click it, I get the option of opening the home page. And there we go, we've got the application running within Eclipse. If we jump back to our web UI, you'll see the application is there running again, and we've got our Cloudant NoSQL database. We're going to do the same change that we did on the command line, but first we need to go and update and remove that document. So we click into the Cloudant service, launch the Cloudant console. Our sample database has got one document. We go in there and remove the document. Okay. Just have to be aware that sometimes the browser caches, so we have to do a refresh. Then back into Eclipse, we can now go and open our app.js.application and click into it. And again, line 306. And there we've got the information. Again, I'm going to change the sample doc to test in the 3 places. And remember to do file save to save the changes. And you'll notice now that I've made those changes, that the status goes to republish automatically. And what we can do is we just right click on the application and we say update and restart, and that will automatically push the changes to the application to Cloudant, to Bluemix. So here we are, our application is started again. So again, opening up the home page, just refresh so we don't use a cache version, and there we are, we've got the test document and test document. So that's now taken code and updated it using the Eclipse browser. What we can now do is, if we just right click the project name and click delete, we're going to delete the contents from the disk and say OK. And what this will automatically do is remove the application from Bluemix. We get asked if we want to remove the service as well, and then click finish. So we've now deleted the code from Eclipse. I'll close that down and come back into my web user interface, go back into the dashboard. You'll see that we've also deleted the application from Bluemix. We no longer have the application or service deployed.